Welcome to Epic Geek Out, the only show on the internet that lives by the motto, clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. I'm your host, Rob.
And I'm your host, Chad, and today we're talking about...
Gangster Squad.
Gangster Squad, the new movie that just came out.
And on Thursday, we're going to be giving our review of The War Z, the massive multiplayer online zombie game.
Yep, so as always, you can check us out over at Twitter, at Epic Geek Out. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/EpicGeekOut. Also, check out the website, www.epicgeekout.com. And let me give a quick plug to Friday Night Lights, which, you know, was one of Chad's thanks before.
Good show.
Most of the way done, season 1, and it is great. But let's get into our review of Gangster Squad. Gangster Squad is the story of Mickey Cohen, who is an East Coast gangster who moves out to LA, and it's his attempts to take over the town. He's played by Sean Penn, and it follows the team of cops that are out to stop him, led by Josh Brolin. Ryan Gosling is another one of them, also Nick Nolte. And these cops are kind of...
Technically not cops.
Not cops. They leave their badges at home, as the commercial says, and they use more of a vigilante-style justice, and they know they're never going to get the recognition, but it's really them trying to reclaim their town. And there's a lot of parallels between a lot of these guys just got back from the war, and you know they can't really leave the fighting behind kind of thing, and you know there's parallels for Josh Brolin's character of that, and also Sean Penn's. It's directed by Ruben Fleischer, who recently did Zombieland, which was a hit for me. I absolutely love that movie, best cameo ever if you haven't seen it. But Chad, what did you think of Gangster Squad?
Yeah.
Oh, and also just a little backdrop. This is supposed to be released in September, and then there was the horrific tragedy of the Aurora shooting. There was a scene in the movie where people were getting shot in a movie theater, which they had to take out and reshoot. So there is some controversy with the film as well, and that's why it's been released so far back.
Yeah. Yeah, it was all right. I think it's had all the elements of a really great movie. Unfortunately, it just didn't come together in the way that they could have. Acting was really great across the board. Storyline, I mean, as far as acting goes, Sean Penn was awesome. I mean, Josh Brolin, Ryan Gosling, they're all awesome in their roles. The storyline was interesting and fun. There was a lot of really cool action, but then also a little bit of comedy thrown in there. I don't know, it just, for me, didn't come together on a level that could have been great. Probably because of the directing. I mean, a lot of that probably has to do with that. Unfortunately. But, I mean, this started out with a really cool premise for me, and the action ramped up in, like, the right pace for me. But just, I don't know, I was left feeling empty, and it was weird, because I don't know what specifically I didn't like about it. A lot of the locations felt very, like, movie lot to me, like soundstage and not real, which was unfortunate. Although, you know, some of the old-timiness of it, because it took place in the late 40s, did feel authentic and real, but it just seemed very like they could have done more like, you know, set piece moments as far as that goes. A lot of set piece moments happened in small areas and whatnot. These guys kick ass in this movie, which is pretty cool. There's a little bit of leap of faith with how they start their missions to all of a sudden being completely awesome, like spy people. But
yeah, like the first time that they go out to disrupt the casino, it kind of like fails miserably, like
really bad.
They were like
yeah. And then all of a sudden they're taking down this gangster who is established in the beginning of the movie that he is, you know, he's ruling Los Angeles, and he does some crazy crap to people that cross him, and all of a sudden these guys just take him on. A lot of really like movie moments, but you know, I kind of forgave it just because it felt cool with that fedora like-ness, like I don't know the right word, the gangsterness, I guess, the way they were dressed and everything, the vibe, it felt really cool, and even though there were some really corny moments, you know, it felt cool. So I really don't know why I don't think this came together. Maybe you can provide some insight, but it was okay. It was great.
I'll try
watching,
to
but
sum it up. I think it was this fell to its own devices. It was style over substance. They went for the cool moments. They went for those one-liners that, you know, were so corny and so like, here comes Santa Claus, and I'm like, oh God, was that just said? So I think it hurt in that there were slow time bullet scenes.
Yeah, that was
and things
really
that weren't
awful.
necessary in this kind of movie. I really would have rather seen the story of Mickey Cohen and, you know, more based in reality than it was in this kind of world that they were in. The movie started out and it had like a horror movie feel with some of the first like kills, you know, for lack of a better term, in it. Like when they were behind the Hollywood sign and he's kind of sending a message for back east, and moments like that I was like, I was surprised by, and it didn't seem like this movie knew what it wanted to be, to have an identity. It seemed serious at points. It seemed, you know, like, I don't know, like The Simpsons were doing a parody of like this era, like you know, like the old time newsy talk, and like, you know, there's a shoeshine kid who's, you know, out past his bedtime trying to make a living, you know, and it fell into the Hollywood tropes that, you know, I didn't hate this movie, but, you know, looking back on it, it's losing its whatever good feelings I kind of had for it. I enjoyed my time I was in the theater. You know, I do like most of the actors, you know, all the actors really in this movie. There are some great side actors too. Anthony Mackie, I think, did a good job, and Giovanni Ribisi. So it did have a good cast, and I just think it definitely lacked to make a lasting impression. But I really did like the color palette of this movie. You know, it did definitely have a feel to it. So I like that. But you know, there were just some moments, you know, like that were just so unbelievable and just so hard to stomach. You know, like I like the group together, but you know, there were just some moments that were just hard to swallow.
Do you think that the delay with that other scene would have made it better or worse? Like,
I don't know. You know, the new scene in the movie was in like a Chinatown kind of feel, which did kind of feel like movie lot-ish with the way it was set up. And that might have had to do with the reshoots and things like that. But I don't think I don't think a different scene in that place really, I don't think that affected the movie. You know, that wasn't even necessarily one of the worst scenes. I mean, the last scene was, how the movie ended, I thought was ridiculous. And so, like, why'd they have to go there? Like, I mean,
I think part of it too is like we've seen the trailer now for so long, and that made it feel tired. Although I was more impressed with it than I thought I would be, based on just being tired of the trailer. You know, once I was in there, I was kind of in the ride, and it was fun for the most part. But as far as being a good movie,
and I'm a big fan of Emma Stone, but like her character just didn't
make any sense.
And she really, I mean, I guess there were only two females, you know, and Josh Brolin's wife.
And I want to, because it is inspired by a true story. So, I mean, obviously take liberties. I don't know how much of it true, false, whatnot, but I mean, I don't know if she was like a real person in her life.
I don't have any idea,
kind of,
but
it's the way they leave it. It seems like she might have been. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's not awful, but it's also
certainly not awful.
Great. And I think January is kind of like a lull for movies anyway. So I think as far as being a January movie, it really was all right. I think if it would have sat in the August-September timeline, it would have been a little out of place.
Yeah, I mean, if you think a stylized gangster flick is in your
wheelhouse,
yeah, exactly, and you want like a Matrixy scene in the middle of it, you know, go see the movie.
Some good actors. So I mean, again, lots of things to like, but it didn't come together.
Yeah, it didn't.
So.
So it's that time of the episode where we like to give our thanks. Chad, what are you thankful for today?
I'm going to thank a little app. It's a game for iOS called Hundreds. It just came out.
Same thing.
Nice theme. And it's really an innovative game. I know it's not your type of game.
It would frustrate me to the point where
I really like it. It's a game that just came out. I think it's one of those universal apps, so you can get it for your iPad or iPhone. And it starts with one circle in the center of the screen. You hold down the circle, and it grows until it reaches 100. And that's kind of establishes
the magic number.
It establishes that that's how you win the level. But then there's two, and you can't have them touch each other. So, like, they'll just stay stationary, and you touch one, and it'll go to like 47, and the other will go to like 63, or whatever it takes to get that combination. 53, can't do math. And then eventually they're moving, and you can do two at a time, and it's pretty cool and innovative. I like a lot how there's no instructions for the game. It just kind of assumes that you'll figure out how to play it. And I always like those kind of games because I think that's really cool. It's Journey. What I love that about that is just kind of discovery, and that's part of the game is learning how to play it on your own. So a lot of fun. I think it's really cheap. It's like $1, maybe $2, but no more than that. So it's called Hundreds on the App Store.
Yeah, and I would like to thank another iOS game that is also available for Android. It's called Subway Surfer, and it's kind of the constant run game where, but it doesn't take advantage of the tilt feature. So you're kind of either on, left track, middle track, or right track, constantly, and you're avoiding either subway trains, climbing up to the top of them, moving side to side, going through tunnels, things like that, and it's just swipe left or right, up, down, whatnot. But it just has so many just achievements that I have been addicted to this game. Absolutely addicted. It has jetpacks. Any game with a jetpack available is just fantastic. And it's one of those just perfect games that you can just play one round in, and be satisfied. It's kind of unusual. Like, I would have assumed that it was going to use the tilt function of the iPhone. But I kind of like the fact that you don't have to worry about that because, there have been so many times in Temple Run when I have just coughed and, have died from that. So check that out. Subway Surfer, and I believe it's also free. So
cool. We'll be back on Thursday. We're going to be talking about The War Z, a brand new game out about zombies, which we love.
Fantastic.
So make sure you check back for that. Thanks for watching this episode, and we'll see you next time.